So, the authority problem is the title I chose because I'm wondering a lot whether lecturing people is the right way to actually tackle the problems we want to, or are there any other ways? The problem is that on an everyday basis, we face a lot of new information to accept or reject, and we have to decide whether we are capable of accepting it, or it's based on fact, or we should be rejecting it. And there are certain ways of deciding that. One of them is following authority figures and their advice. And of course, from the very beginning, as children, we are facing that with through our parents, through our grandparents, our teachers, our professors, etc., etc. But there are other ways. For example, we need to learn, and many of us who are sitting here, we have learned to a certain extent to think for ourselves and to think critically and questioning authority to a certain extent, to a reasonable extent, I have to add, because it does make sense to follow them to a certain extent. But the problem is there about accessing the proper information that we can base our decisions on. But that is not easy to come by, because we then are putting that to another level. So we're getting back to authority figures, and of course when he says so, I don't think there is anyone in the room who doesn't know who that is. So Neil deGrasse Tyson is who we're seeing. So when he says so, we tend to assume that, okay, that is based on facts, what he says, because he knows his stuff, he knows his science, he knows how to deal with it, he knows how to deal with certain issues. So we accept whatever he says as it being probably true. But is it always the case? Is Neil deGrasse Tyson flawless? So I do think we would agree that he is a person like every one of us. So are we to follow him all the way? But what about him? He's Dr. Oz. I don't think I need to mention what he's doing on an everyday basis. But he's an authority figure to many people. So they accept whatever he says on the basis that they assume he is an expert in something. And as experts, it is still commonplace to ask experts on certain topics, on television shows, on radio shows. We heard a lot about that last night on the Skeptics in the Pub event. It's a great thing. But it can easily go both ways, and that's a bit of a problem. And that's a huge problem, because whatever he says, if someone is an authority figure to the public, that whatever they say will be accepted. So it all boils down to it resulting in an authority contest. So whoever can persuade the public that whatever they say is right, then they're going to be followed. So it's basically a question of who's more likable. So that's a bit of a problem when we would like to be able to decide whether to accept something or not. So we should be trying to learn critical thinking, and we should be questioning authority. And when I said to a certain extent, is because, okay, everyone is a person, and there is no flawless person in the world. But there is a problem of accessing the proper information. Because when the information is reliable, of course, we can try and work with it, but it's not easy, especially with all the woo fuckery out there. So, if I may refer to that expression. So how are we accessing proper information? And of course, there is Google. Google University, that's a very great expression in my opinion, but that, fortunately, they don't give out degrees. Google Scholar, PubMed, Web of Science is there, but of course, one of the greatest tools to use is Wikipedia. And Wikipedia gets a lot of criticism for not having always the proper information. But we have to admit that every one of us uses Wikipedia to certain things or certain information to find. So, but it's not only viewed by everyone, it can be edited by everyone. And this is where we come in, and of course, Guerrilla Skepticism when Wikipedia comes in, you might recognize the same pattern that I'm wearing this t-shirt. There is Leon Korteweg from the Netherlands who's wearing the same t-shirt too. And Susan Gerbich's wearing the same t-shirt. She's leading and training editors of this international project. And she's usually referred to as the Wikipediatrician, which is a great expression as well, in my opinion. So what we are doing is we are trying to back up people with the proper information, with proper pages. Of course, so now I'm referring back to the authority figures. There are skeptics, spokespeople appearing on the media and having opportunities to speak to the public. And when the public hears about them, they tend to go online and find their Wikipedia page, because that's among the first pages that come up on a Google search. And this happens in the case of Neil deGrasse Tyson as well. His Wikipedia page gets 90,000 hits per month. And there are certain peaks in the views of the pages when he appears and says something that is very popular. And this is the case in Dr. Mehmet Oz as well. I'm happy to say that his page doesn't get as many views, about half the views it gets of Neil deGrasse Tyson's page. But when recently he was criticized again, very heavily in the media, he got a very great amount of hits. So we need to get the information out there that's properly backed up by references. So it really counts what is there. The content they find when they go on the Wikipedia page is really key to the providing proper information. So what we're doing with Guerrilla Skepticism on Wikipedia is a quality improvement to all the Wikipedia pages that we can access. Of course, there are not too many experts right now in the group. So what we are doing is we're dealing with skeptic spokespeople who have Wikipedia pages, or if they don't have, we try to put together one. Or we improve something not only in the quality of the content, but also the quantity of the content. Here's Skeptics with a K before we got in touch with it. I think it was Leon who worked the most on this page. Look at that change. Very nice segments, lots of information, lots of links to other skeptical pages that can lead the reader to new content, and a whole lot of references. Look at that reference list at the right side of the slide. So this is what we're trying to do. And there is a new recruit, he just finished training with Susan Gerbich here, James Williams, who's sitting there. He did Lucy Green's Wikipedia page, renewed the Wikipedia page. This is what it looked like before he got in touch with it. Lucy Green's Wikipedia page is so long, so great, it couldn't even be fit on the slide. Hungarian Skeptic Society, that's my area because I'm coming from Hungary. And this is what it looked like before we started working on it. And this is what it looks like right now, and it's still in development. So there's lots of information, and the national groups who are providing content for different languages, of course not only English is out there. So this is a Hungarian page I put together. He's Hetlen Karo, he's a very well-recognized and beloved science educator in Hungary, and an outright opponent of pseudoscience. And this is something else that we are very proud of. Also Leon's work is the majority of it, but we translated it to 3 other languages. That's the page of the European Council of Skeptical Organizations. Look at these, there's a list of members, there's a list of the events we've had in the past, and there's a lot of other work to do. We are working on a lot of pages, and we're trying to provide content that can lead others to new skeptical pages that are of certain areas of expertise. But we start out with taking care of the spokespeople's Wikipedia pages. So I encourage everyone here to join the group or start working on Wikipedia if they haven't ever edited Wikipedia. Even there is a website here, there's a Facebook page for the project, and of course the Twitter handles to Susan Gerbic and myself. Get in touch with us. Wherever you see the Guerrilla Skepticism t-shirt, just come and talk to us. Thanks very much for your attention, and I hope you'll have questions as well. Okay, 3 minutes for questions. Any questions there? Yeah.
Hi. Well, first off, it's nice to hear somebody from Guerrilla Skeptics on Wikipedia using a plural pronoun. But secondly, it's my understanding that you can use organizational tools for your communications that are separate from the Wikipedia community at large. Is there a reason you do that?
Well, yes, and I have to say, of course, we are using a plural because we are a team, we are a group, and we are very proud of that. And there are national groups as well. Yes, there is a there is the problem with the inside communication within the group that is separate. It's on a separate forum that we're using. We've been criticized for that. It's still on the table. We are discussing it among ourselves as well on a daily basis, whether we should move it to a more public platform. But yeah, currently that is the case. I don't know what the reason for it is because I joined the whole thing about a year ago. Any other questions if we have time for it? No, then thanks very much for your attention and hope to talk to as many of you as possible. Thanks.